Hi, this is the Love Your Life Show with Susie Pettit, Certified Life and Wellness Coach. Join Susie as she helps you with your wellness and mindset so you can live a life you love. Let's go, warriors!
Warriors, hello and welcome. How are you? How are you today? Truly, how are you? Being able to tap into our actual feeling states multiple times during the day is a component of emotional intelligence and helps us feel more connected in this world. It's something that I have not been good at over my life, and I'm really trying to practice. So I'm bringing that practice to you guys. So how about you give me 2 or 3 words for how you're feeling right now? Okay, a feeling is one word, remember. I'll give you one of my 3, and that's energized, inspired, lit up. Oh, whoops, that's 3. All right, well, okay. Truly though, stop to label how you're feeling. Brene Brown's research has shown us it's a component of life satisfaction, the better we can get with this emotional literacy. And that's where I am. And maybe you ask, why am I lit up? Why am I energized? Why do I feel inspired? Well, it is because I am so excited to bring you this week's topic, a big old topic on how to say no. Why would teaching warrior women how to say no light me up? Oh, my dear, for all the reasons, many of which I mentioned in last week's episode. Simply, when we are living a life that feels true to us, when we're actually doing what we want to be doing, we feel emotionally free and light. That feels so good. I've spent probably the last decade of my life feeling this way. I did not feel that way for the first 4 decades of my life. Okay, the opposite is what we're trained to do, to shove down our true intentions, to make, take one for the team. Okay, or to do that, people pleasing. And do you know what people pleasing is, warriors? Okay, people pleasing is like a nice little term for it, but it's actually lying. That doesn't sound so nice then, does it? Lying to the other person. When I started to see it that way as something I was actually doing that brought harm and disconnection to my relationships, it helped me tremendously so that I could start to say no when I meant no and yes when I meant yes. Okay, deep connected relationships and truth go hand in hand. Love and truth, which is why love is so hard. In the moment, it is so much easier to people please. So much easier. Okay. And yet, how many times have I said on this show and on my Instagram posts, choose your hard? What is hard in the short term brings long-term ease. Whereas what's easy in the short term, people pleasing and lying, brings long-term hard, long-term disconnection. Unconditional love is about telling the truth to the people we're in relationship with, and then loving ourselves and that other person no matter their response. Okay, the key to practicing and pursuing happiness is doing things that are a strong yes for us. Okay, saying no when our first instinct is a no. It's not about doing more, it's about making sure what you're doing is important to you. Not what's important to your mom or your neighbor or the PTA chair or the other dance team mom or your husband. It's you. All right. Ask yourself a question. Do you believe that being a good daughter or a good friend or a good mom, a good sister, a good wife requires you to lie? Spoiler alert. The answer is always no. No. That's not the real you. That's a people deceiver. If you're in a relationship and feeling as if in order to be connected to that person, you have to lie to yourself or to them, you've missed the point, right? I'm not here to beat you up. I missed the point for 4 decades of my life. But that is an ingredient for feeling disconnected, feeling resentful, feeling bitter. Okay. It does not feel good in the long term. Short term might feel easy. You say yes when they want you to say yes. Okay. But remember, warriors, we're not here we choose our heart. Okay. That's not the point, doing the short term easy. It's avoiding truth and deeper connection. It's a cop out. And I argue that if you're a listener of this show, you're here for more. Lying is people pleasing. People pleasing is lying. And it's not a path to life satisfaction. Most of the people I know, including myself, who were people pleasers, don't think of themselves as liars. They're like, oh no, I'm just being nice. I'm doing the right thing. Okay. I want you to start to think of these two as synonymous, people pleasing and lying, because it's not a path to life satisfaction. It's the opposite. Lying about who you are and what you truly want leads to feeling bitter, resentful, and disconnected in those relationships. Okay, we want relationships where we can be truthful and honest with ourselves, and that relationship sustains it and supports us. Okay, we want to live in alignment with our inner warrior, our essential self, as Martha Beck calls her. This takes practice for sure. Okay, if your head is sort of popping off right now, stay with me. It takes practice because we've been conditioned to be like the yes girl, to be the good girl for a long time, dear warriors. Long time. I get it. I'm here to empathize with you. And I'm here to show you a different way, a way that brings long-term ease. So buckle up your bootstraps. Let's practice the short-term hard for the long-term ease. Okay, here's a good way to start. Ask yourself, when's the last time you felt frustrated? Or when's the last time you felt resentful, resentment, bitter, or unappreciated? I'm going to pause. Think of a specific time. Okay, you got it? Hold on to that time. I'm going to give you a specific time. I know my listeners like specific examples. So hold on to your specific example in your head and see where you can see the similarities to this specific example. This is another warrior's experience. Right before recording this podcast, I had a client session where a warrior was telling me she was feeling resentful because she answered a call from a friend when she didn't want to this weekend. She had finally found some quiet time in her day and was sitting and reading a fiction book. Deep exhale. And then her phone buzzed. She saw it was a friend who's in a challenging relationship, a challenging spot right now in her marriage. This friend consistently calls to complain about her marriage. So she put her book down and answered the call. She thought it was the right thing to do. Who was she to sit and choose her fiction book over her friend who was in need? Well, she spent about 20 minutes listening to the friend complain about her husband and her husband's family. Something she had done many times before, something she had heard many times before, sort of different flavor, but same circumstance. Okay. In fact, she had given advice on this many times before. She had even suggested to her friend to get a coach to problem solve in her marriage and take action. Guess what? Her friend hadn't taken any of her advice. Because why should she? She had a free coach at her beck and call Sunday in the middle of her friend's reading. Okay, so instead of her friend getting a coach and taking action in her life, my friend, my client, was spending her coaching session talking about her friend and in emotional turmoil because of it. When she hung up the phone, her quiet time had passed. Her kids needed her. She was off and running. And boy, did she feel pissy. Okay. Can you see how not being true to ourselves is the breeding ground for resentment and sort of being that over functioner with her friend? You let your friend under function. When is the last time you answered a call when you didn't want to? I used to do this all the time. And then I would, like my client, feel resentful or bitter after I hung up. Okay. That's what my client felt. And that's okay, warriors. We answer the call because we've been conditioned to think it's the right thing to do. We have these manuals for ourselves of what it means to be a good friend, a good sister, a good daughter. And those manuals tell us that what that means is when the person calls, you answer. That's what support and friendship looks like. Beep. Nope, that's lying. That's people pleasing. I'm sorry. The path to deeper life satisfaction, deeper and more truthful connections looks like us checking in with ourselves before answering. Honest living means you answer when you want to. You don't answer when you don't want to. Honest, authentic, adult living looks like you acting from your truth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Don't answer the call. When your friend later asks why you didn't answer, you gasp. Tell your friend the truth. Tell your friend the truth. Does that make you sort of quiver in your boots? Well, remember, I said, buckle up your bootstraps. This is the path to closer relationships. You might say something like, I didn't answer because I had just sat down to read. Or I didn't answer because I was in the middle of a great game with my son. Or I didn't answer because I was having an awesome convo with my husband. Or I didn't answer because I didn't feel like talking on the phone. Okay. True friendships and relationships are based on acceptance of and for that other person. Mutuality. Okay. You're calling that other friend to step into her adult power and be like, yeah, okay, it's not your job to take care of my emotions. Okay. You remove this like over-functioning, under-functioning mess of codependency that you somehow are responsible for her, or her thinking you're responsible for that you're responsible for her. I mean, that's all that comes from fear. Listen to that voice in your head saying, but Susie, if I don't answer, she might be upset. Yeah. Okay. That's not understanding the thought model and emotional intelligence. And if you're at that place, get the podcast roadmap at smbwell.com/roadmap. So you can get the foundational exercises so that you are feeling more emotionally mature. Because if you're thinking, which I was for many years, if I don't answer, she might be upset. Yeah, I get it. But if you do answer, you will be upset. All right. You will be upset. What usually happened in my life is I would answer, I'd use my time where I was going to sit and read, and then I'd spend that time. And then it was time for me to go back to being, mom extraordinaire. And then I'd be pissy with my kids. Okay. And I'd be pissy with me. So my friend has like leaked her drama into my life. And then I'm upset with how I'm acting. That's not me at my highest self. So let's have some faith that other person can handle their adult experience, and faith that they will support us in having ours. Does that mean that they will? Hell no. Oh, no. Okay. We've all grown up in the same fishbowl of codependency and being a good girl. Okay. If we've been at this for a while, also, we've probably formed some friendships and relationships where they expect us to put our needs on the back burner to prioritize theirs. That's part of the relationship dynamic. Susie answers the call. So when we don't, that can feel uncomfortable. Actually, that will feel uncomfortable. That's where the choose your hard comes in. See, people pleasing feels amazing in the moment because you tell people what they want to hear. You answer the call and you get the response. Oh, thank you so much. And it's a little hit of feel good adrenaline. That's short-term ease for long-term hard. Long-term feeling hard of feeling bitter, resentful, and disconnected in your relationships. Pissy at how you show up with your kids later. Okay, people-pleasing breeds disconnection and feeling like no one gets you. Okay, like your friend doesn't get you. Well, truth bomb, they don't, because you're not being honest with them. Remember, people-pleasing is lying. You're not letting them know that you'd prefer to sit and read. You totally empathize with their situation and they have the tools to handle it. You have faith in them rising into their adult power. You choose not to be a people deceiver. Mature, interdependent relationships involve you speaking up for your needs and they get to speak up for theirs. That's the truth. That's unconditional love. That's not people pleasing. Unconditional love in adult interdependent relationships never involves people pleasing. It's an either or. Mature adult relationships or lying people pleasing. People pleasing is always lying. People deceiving, it's at your own expense and at the relationship's expense. Unconditional love is always for the truth and for the love of yourself and the other person. Okay. Yet often we lie to ourselves and say that we're doing it from a place of love for our sister or our friend or our husband or our mother. Okay. But that's not accurate. Lies does not create the foundation of love. Truth and love go together. That's why it's so challenging. Okay. Mature interdependent relationships is not for everybody. It is tough. It's much easier to people please and skate along. Okay. It's the easier life. It's easy to stay in these relationships that are sort of surface level in the short term, although it's gut wrenching long term. Okay. It's easier socially because you get to tell people what they want to hear. And maybe it looks like you have lots of friends. And then you have them respond the way you want them to respond. But inside, you lose yourself. Choosing the short-term heart of adult, mature relationships for long-term ease and connections means telling them the truth, having them possibly disagree with you, and loving them anyway. Okay, telling them the truth and loving them no matter how they respond, and loving you no matter how they respond. Lying to yourself and lying to other people is called people pleasing, and that is not love. And it feels terrible. It feels toxic in the long run. It's this low-grade toxicity that you create inside of yourself. So, my dear warrior, where are you lying to yourself? Bring up that specific example you had that showed up, that often shows sort of an opportunity where you're not telling the truth. Okay, so where are you not willing to tell yourself the truth? Here's some journal questions. Where are you lying to yourself? Where are you not willing to tell yourself the truth? Where are you lying to other people and not telling them the truth? Okay. You can continue to lie to other people if you want. Of course you can. But I want to highly recommend that you stop lying to yourself. Acknowledge with yourself when you're lying and people pleasing. Okay, don't call it selfless. Do not call it being a good friend. Acknowledge that you just like, okay, I'm choosing to answer this call and this is not in my best interest and this is not me and my highest self. Acknowledge it. Living in alignment with your values is the opposite of selfish. And in my experience, the only people who told me that it was selfish were people who were still in that that unconscious programming of the need to be a good girl, or who benefited from me being out of integrity with myself. Okay, so this is a bit of a side note here, kind of big side note, but be careful of those who call you selfish. Okay, they may or may not be doing it consciously. They may truly believe you're being selfish, which tells you they're still in that matrix and believing it's your job to meet everyone else's needs before your own. That's their journey. Let them be that martyr. Let them feel all victim-y and bitter and resentful. You're a freaking warrior. Okay. Let them have their opinion about you, even if that opinion is that you are selfish. Okay. I have people thinking that I am selfish left and right. And you know what? I let people be wrong about me. I let people be wrong about me because I know me. I know in my heart what's right. I've been practicing that. Let people have their opinion about you, even if that opinion is that you're selfish. That's part of you stepping into adulthood and leaving codependency behind. This is definitely a practice. And it's one, I argue, it's work worth doing. We've been conditioned to be the good girl, to put others before us, not on my watch. No way. I'm all about living a life that feels good. The Love Your Life show, people. When I thought of recording this podcast, I thought that I would give you a bunch of different scripts on how to say no that would help you. And I get that. And while I'm all for helping you, we're 213 episodes into this show. And I believe you're here for more of the graduate level learning. Okay, so this means turning into yourself to figure out how to say no. Okay, this is me helping you listen to you. Part of my job as a coach and a podcaster is to lead you to learn about you, how best to be you, to trust you, to tap into your inner voice and do what it's saying, not what others are saying, and not even what Susie's saying. What is your inner warrior saying? Learn to listen to her. Learn to trust her. And by God, dear warrior, learn to speak up for her. Even if that means disappointing others who are used to your people-pleasing, automatic yes saying self. My goodness, especially if it means disappointing them. Yes, this will feel difficult. That's the short-term hard. That's why I have online groups, memberships like mine to support you and to remind you that you're not doing something wrong. When you feel guilt, it just means you're coming up against your conditioning. Okay, we've been conditioned to do what's best for others at our expense. As we wake up and become emotionally mature, we realize it's a crock of shit. It helps others keep their lives humming along, but leads to us living a life full of discontent and disconnected relationships. Nope. Learn to speak up for your inner warrior. Learn to say no. Learn to overcome your fear of rejection. To recognize that others can have thoughts about us that aren't true. One of the reasons we hesitate to say no is because we want to be loved. We want people to accept us. We want people to like us. We don't want to be rejected. Okay, but that's people deceiving, again, lying. And when we do that, when we show up in that way, we reject ourselves. We end up feeling resentful, trapped, guilty. That's not how I want you to feel. I want you to feel empowered, free. I want you to know the feeling of freedom and empowerment that comes from saying no, that comes from saying yes to you. No is a complete sentence. I love you, warrior. I will put links to past shows where I give specific scripts. So if you're new to this show and haven't yet listened to all the Love Your Life show episodes, you can have some direction. If you are a lifer, bring a specific example where you said yes, but wanted to say no to a group coaching session inside the membership. Okay, that's smbwell.com/membership. And the show notes are smbwell.com/213. That's where we add support. That's where we grow. We're all about choosing your hard, choosing the short-term hard for the long-term ease. Your happiness matters to me. I hope you have a week full of honesty and a lot of no's. You matter to me, dear warrior.
Thank you for listening to the Love Your Life show. If you want to hear more from Susie and support the show, be sure to subscribe to this podcast on iTunes. Also, leave a review and share this podcast with friends and family. Go get 'em, warriors.